Welcome to another episode of OG55. Today we're talking all about Epic Universe. Friend of the channel, Capture the Magic, had a fantastic Epic Universe construction update. We're reacting to his video. A lot of great pictures overhead from the one, the only, the legendary Bio Reconstruct. We're talking about it today, breaking it down, speculating. Up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to this Epic Universe edition of OG55. We're talking all about the construction, the latest construction update from that park, all courtesy of Bio Reconstruct and our friend Capture the Magic. Before we dive in, the Italiano, welcome back, sir.
Always glad to be back. Always enjoy these in-depth conversations with you, bro. Always a good time reacting to friends in the YouTube / social media world and all that good stuff. Talking parks, studios, corporate, all that good jazz.
Absolutely. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There he is. All right, here we go. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. This is Capture the Magic. Now, if you have not subscribed to Capture the Magic, make sure you do so. I'll be linking their channel in the description down below. They make phenomenal content. You will absolutely love them. And make sure you smash that like button. And here, we make sure I have the captions on. All right, George, you ready to do the damn thing?
Let's do the damn thing.
Do the damn thing. And we're going to do it like we always do it, everybody. If basically, we're going to watch the video, stop it along the way, react to it, talk about it, break it down. Here we go.
You know, at first I had to think real quick when I saw that. It looked like the black spot, you know, like for the pirate's death sentence where they give you the piece of paper with the black spot.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hello and welcome to the latest Epic Universe construction update. I meant to get out an update on the last batch of construction photos, but Hurricane Milton delayed things on my end, and Bio Reconstruct released some new pictures after the hurricane. So today we will get all caught up.
I hate to pause it so soon, but hold on one sec, brother. I want to show you guys. Okay, so this picture right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you been to Vegas, like the Strip or any of that?
I just remember passing it with you, like from our trip and stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you haven't really explored Las Vegas, though, like that?
Not fully in depth, no.
Okay, so this is for those of you at home that have been to Vegas. How Vegas-y does this feel? Like for me personally, and this is not like, I'm not putting it down. Okay. I want to make it very clear. I love Vegas, and Vegas is highly immersive in so many ways. Caesar's Palace, they have a lot of great themed hotels that really do rival Disney. I mean, you know, so I'm not putting Universal down at all when I say this, but this right here with the Helios behind and the lake, or I guess the water performance area, you know, very Las Vegas-y, very Bellagio, very much like the Bellagio. So it's interesting, you know, so it's a little more Vegas than I was expecting, but it's interesting style. And again, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just an observation.
And Bio Reconstruct released some new pictures after the hurricane. So today we will get all caught up on the latest progress and see if there's any damage to the Epic Universe construction site from Hurricane Milton. Also, we now have an opening date for Epic Universe, which is May 22nd of 2025. So we have roughly 7 months left before this park will be open. But before we jump into the update, for those that are somehow unaware, Epic Universe is a brand new theme park coming to Universal Studios Florida. Epic Universe is located just 2 miles south of Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. This new park will include brand new lands themed to How to Train Your Dragon, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Universal Monsters, and my personal favorite, Super Nintendo World. So we'll kick off our tour of the construction site as usual by heading over into the Dark Universe. At the entrance portal to the land, there is scaffolding up as exterior work is nearing completion, and most of the work looks to be on the details of the portal itself. Along the portal entry pathways, we can also see the status of the graveyard and a broken coffin in the grave to the right. And over at the Frankenstein Manor, some
Frankenstein Manor looks absolutely breathtaking.
Mm-hmm.
This looks incredible. I mean, this is top notch. This looks like, I mean, honestly, you know, we talk a lot about here on the channel how a lot of times Universal will go to the nines with other people's properties, right? So, for example, other people's properties. Remember that song OP? You down with OPP?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's what I thought. But other people's IP, I think that's probably a better way to say it. But other people's IP, like Harry Potter, right? Universal will go to the nines with it and really care and put all kinds of love and effort into it. With their own stuff, it's a lot more hit and miss, right? So you have like DreamWorks stuff, which is very, you know, like that new DreamWorks area, Minion stuff, kind of cheap looking for the most part. But this is a Universal IP. This is the Universal Monsters, and they are treating their own IP very, very well in this park. This is every bit as well done as Wizarding World. And it's
I was
good
just going to say that. I feel like that this land in particular is going to be an upscale immersive land, just how it was with Wizarding World back in 2010. You know, in 2010, that was the newer kind of technology. It basically changed the game in the theme park industry, because then Disney kind of used that same platform, that same template, so to speak, moving forward with Pandora at Animal Kingdom and the two Galaxy's Edge Star Wars lands for both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. You know, that all stemmed from Wizarding World. Now I feel like with Dark Universe, this is for the newer generation, by kind of going back into the past and Universal utilizing the oldest IP that they have, that literally basically pioneered the whole entire studio.
Yeah, I mean, the Universal Monsters, I've said it before, but not everyone watches every single video, so I tend to repeat stuff. But Universal Monsters are very much the Disney fairy tale for Universal. It's the spine of that studio, so it's good to see them taking it seriously. It really is refreshing, because a lot of the Universal owned IP, let's be honest, fam, it's real hit or miss, and I'm being very polite when I say hit or miss.
platforms were reduced in preparation for Hurricane Milton, and even with the scaffolding, we can see the details emerging, and the manor is looking pretty spectacular, and seems to be close to being finished with its exterior theming. There is more landscaping and theming in progress at the entrance of the Frankenstein Manor, which is where the Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment will be. And over in the extended queue of Monsters Unchained, we can see street lamps have been recently installed. And over at the Curse of the Werewolf coaster, the tents have started to be installed over here finally. It's likely that there will be multiple layers to the tents in this area, so we'll have to watch in future updates if that pans out. Also at the Curse...
I'm not a big fan, and he said there's multiple layers, but I don't know. When I think monsters, I don't think vinyl.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I would have expected something a little bit more like
that. Is that just like a temporary thing, like while they're doing construction, or
he said they're going to add more layers to it. So I'm assuming it's going to be permanent. But again, anyone in the comments, if you're aware, let us know. But the way he was wording it, let's go back and see. Kind of sounds like this is what it's going to be. Let's see.
Of Monsters Unchained, we can see street lamps have been recently installed. And over at the Curse of the Werewolf coaster, the tents have started to be installed over here finally. It's likely that there will be multiple layers to the tents in this area, so we'll have to watch in future updates if that pans out.
Yeah, that sounds more permanent.
Sounds permanent, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. We'll see.
Also at the Curse of the Werewolf coaster, there have been new posts installed. Now the posts vary in height and can be seen installed along the curve of the track in this section.
Bro, I have a question for you.
This is likely safety net.
Sure.
So, they were, we just recently did a reaction video to The Noble Way, where he was discussing the possibility of an expansion pad used for Dark Universe, and if they choose to use it for that property, they would create the Creature from the Black Lagoon kind of like water ride or water attraction. Do you think that Universal made the right decision by making a roller coaster with a werewolf theme to it, whereas if they would have just went the route of the Creature of the Black Lagoon, that would have been more immersive?
Well, it's tough because we're hearing this is the problem with a coaster, right? Like you go by so fast, there's not a lot of time for immersion. It's kind of hard. It's kind of the reason why I'm a little bit like about Villains Land even, because we know for a fact that one of those attractions is a coaster. You know, and like you know, I kind of would prefer like you were saying, like a boat ride and like a big like Rise of the Resistance sort of attraction. But it looks like here with Universal, they're kind of doing the same thing with these roller coasters. I don't know. I mean, people love the coasters. It's not my cup of tea. I got to be honest, but I understand that they are very popular. I understand there's a huge market for them, but I get what you're saying, George. I mean, when you have a coaster and you're whizzing by at 70 or 60 miles an hour, whatever this thing's going to go, there's only so much theming you can do.
And that's the issue that I was like kind of wrapping my head around, because I am a roller coaster junkie. I do love a good roller coaster, but yes, when it comes to theming, how much theming can you put into a coaster? Because unless you actually have moments where you slow it down, sort of like how they do with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, where when you go into the mine, it takes you through like the storyline of the dwarves singing "Hi Ho," and you know, and all that, and then you go through the rest of the coaster. But if it's just a fast track from beginning to end, where there's like no stop points, no nothing, yeah, it's sort of like the Incredicoaster. It's
kind of, or even Velocicoaster to an extent. I mean, yeah. And did you say hi ho?
Hi ho.
Watch your mouth, young man. Watch your mouth.
Hitting elements to ensure potential objects guests may drop on the ride don't hit guests in the walking areas. And here we can take a peek at the current progress in the Courtyard area of Darkmoor Village. And on the well in the center of the village, we have some new elements that have been...
Look at this, man. It's beautiful. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is what I've been saying for so many years. Universal, take care of your IP. Take care of your IP. How many mid or just straight up terrible Minions things have we gotten? Except that grilled cheese at Universal Hollywood. The Minions grilled cheese at that cafe is amazing.
I still didn't try that yet.
Oh man, it's incredible.
That's right. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing with the tomato soup. It's fantastic. But in all seriousness, though, between the Minions and even their DreamWorks stuff, they just don't really care that much about their own IP. Look at this. They're putting as much love into this as Wizarding World, and I absolutely love it. The cobblestone, the stonework, the Gothic architecture, the kind of like that stained, weathered roofing. It's absolutely gorgeous, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the first thing that drew my attention is kind of the walking path. That stonework and the brickwork gives like that very like old century goth look that it does. Is almost if you were to like it looks like a set piece from the original films. That's how good it looks.
Absolutely. It's incredible. Well done.
Recently added. And at the top of the bell tower in Darkmoor Village, there are now themed broken shutters. And over at the Burning Blade Tavern, the menu board has been installed. We can also see some new lighting elements have been installed on the roof below the windmill itself. Well, that's going to be it for the Dark Universe. Let's jump over to Super Nintendo World to check out a lot of progress that's happening in this land. There's been a lot of progress on the entrance portal to Super Nintendo World, as we can see the colored pipes on...
It's it's incredible to me, the disconnect, the gap between what we got here in Hollywood and what they're putting over there in Florida. Yeah. Look, I understand, right? I understand there's a space issue, but come on. Come on. I think they could have done a little better out here, in my opinion. You know, I mean, this looks incredible. And honestly, I mean, ours is fun. It's a cool area, but I don't know. I wasn't super, no pun intended, I wasn't super impressed with Super Nintendo World. I thought it was a cute kind of Toontown-ish kind of land. This, with Donkey Kong and the way it just spread out, it looks so good, man.
Yeah, I feel like Super Nintendo World in Orlando is what Galaxy's Edge is to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Like, because you have two of the same thing, but the one in Walt Disney World just doesn't hit the mark for me, like with Galaxy's Edge. But Disneyland, the transition of the rock work intertwining with Frontierland, it just works better. for Super Nintendo World. In Epic Universe, the way that they have the portal, and you kind of get that long stretch of a walk-in, there's more room. I'm assuming there's going to be more breathing room, and there's going to be an extra piece of land that's going to be for Donkey Kong Country, and then the extra ride for Yoshi. So there's definitely going to be a lot more to experience. That's going to give a different experience than what we have already experienced than in Universal Hollywood for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
On top of the portal have been installed, and the colorful concrete pattern is almost done, and it has a giant Nintendo star in it. And checking out the progress at Bowser's Fortress, it looks pretty similar to our last update as work on the exterior theming continues. And over at Peach's Castle, the exterior work is making some nice progress, as we can see the brick theming elements showing now, and more turrets have been installed. And at the stairs in front of Peach's Castle, we can see the brickwork here looks complete, as the theming in the land has seemingly picked up speed in the last few updates. Over at Yoshi's Adventure, we can see Toadstool has been installed along with some baby Yoshis. And along the track of Yoshi's Adventure, we can see a Pokey and a Koopa Paratrooper have also been installed. And yet again, along Yoshi's Adventure track, there is now a balloon baby.
Look at the Yoshi stuff. We don't have the Yoshi attraction here in Hollywood. Look at the palm trees, the way everything is so vibrant and colorful. It looks great, man.
Yeah, I can. And despite with Yoshi being more like a younger like kid attraction, but some of those attractions are are real hits, I think than a thrilling e-ticket attraction. I think this will be an attraction that the whole family could enjoy. Because I feel like I agree with you. I feel like Universal cannot find that middle ground kind of
like everybody ride
elixir, so to speak. Yeah, where it's like it's either too kiddie or it's too overall extreme. But I feel like this Yoshi ride, it like hits that sweet spot.
Yeah, it's basically Universal's like people mover, I would say,
Be Yoshi. And in this area as well, looking a little closer, we can see a Spiny is now in this area also. And still in the Mushroom Kingdom, a Piranha Plant has been installed as part of the Power Up Band interactive game, which will be on the second level of the land. And in the main courtyard of the land, we can see the main retail location called One Up Factory is now covered in red paint. And the entrance to Yoshi's Adventure still has its sign covered in protective plastic. And in the upper left corner, we can see a Shy Guy is hiding. And here's a little bit of a closer look at him being, well, kind of shy. In this view of everything going on around Mount Beanpole, we can see a Bill Blaster that has been recently installed here. And jumping over to Donkey Kong Country, which is part of Super Nintendo World, we can see the current work on Funky's Fly-In Buy retail shop. And here's a look at an entry archway portal in the land. Now on Minecart Madness, which is the Donkey Kong themed coaster, we can get a better look at the Kong themed face that will be on
land. There's basically going to be an entrance within an entrance,
right,
to get into Donkey Kong. You got to go through the portal into Super Nintendo World, but then you're going to have your own separate entrance within the land, and you're going to get your own Donkey Kong Country mini land. And that's where it kind of gripes me a little bit at Universal Hollywood to call it Super Nintendo World, because eventually, and this also applies to the expansion pad that Noble Way was talking about, where because it's in right in between Super Nintendo World and Dark Universe, they may use it for Dark Universe, but they may also use it for another IP property for Nintendo. I mean, you got how many different properties you could use? They can use Kirby. I doubt that they'll use for Zelda, because I think Zelda is still on track to go over to IOA.
Right.
But they could definitely utilize another property for Super Nintendo to utilize that that expansion pad. But what I was saying was, that's the one thing that gripes me about Universal Orlando is they call it Super Nintendo World, but they only have the Mario IP property.
Right.
Or at least here, you're going to have Donkey Kong Country that can justify calling it Super Nintendo World.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. There's at least a little bit more variety. Now, this is that jump track sort of effect. So this yellow track that you see here, right, is actually what the vehicle will sit on. This track right here is what is the fake track. Okay, so it actually rides like, it's weird. It's attached to the side track, right? And it pretends to sit on this track. So when you're riding, you think, and you're never touching this track, this fake track. So when you're riding along, you hit the end of the track, you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And you just fly over, bro. And you go through here. I mean, this is gonna be such a cool effect. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I honestly, after being on Mario Kart, as much as I thought that was a fun ride, I probably, if I could go back in time and convince Universal, I would have had them scrap the land we got and just give us Donkey Kong Country in Hollywood. If it has to be one or the other, I would have this, I think.
I agree.
You know? So, but let's continue.
On top of the waterfall, as some of the scaffolding was removed to prepare for Hurricane Milton. And at the Donkey Kong meet and greet building, we can now see the Kong sign has been installed, which is called Donkey Kong's Treehouse, and the building to the left is a quick service stand. And we can also see what looks like even more trees have been installed around Minecart Madness, which helps not only with the theming, but also blocks sight lines of show buildings and other elements for better immersion. And here's a great look at Dixie Kong that has been recently installed at the first turn out of the station on Minecart Madness. And the blue wall along a part of Minecart Madness looks like its exterior theming may be complete or close to it, as there is no longer any scaffolding. And here we can get a great look at one of the interactive games in the land, which features multiple Donkey Kong themed drum barrels. And at the entrance for Minecart Madness, we can see the current status of the entry archway, and more tinting has been installed here as well. And looking closer into the show building, we can see
This would actually be a fun ride in like an alternate universe. A fun ride if they could install this on Castaway Key.
Yes.
This would fit Castaway Key so beautifully, I think.
Yes.
But no, it's not going to happen. I know that. But I mean, it would fit. I think it would be beautiful.
But the type of theming of what Donkey Kong Country represents, yeah, it does give off that like
tropical
vibe. Yeah.
It'd be great.
Golden monkey head that is wrapped in protective plastic. Well, that's all there is to see in Super Nintendo World, so let's head over into the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic to see the progress in this land. Now, it doesn't look like much has changed at the entrance portal to the land, but it's a great look at the sheer amount of trees that have been installed around the entrance area here. And further into the entrance pathway into the land, we can see new hanging light posts have been installed. And here's a great look at the Golden Phoenix Gate that will greet guests as they enter the land. And inside the land, we can get a great look at a butterbeer cart that has been recently placed, and some recently added turrets that help create more immersion and forced perspective of a distant Paris landmark in the skyline of what guests will see in the land has been installed. On one of the buildings in the land, a sign has been recently installed that says Patisserie Madagot. I believe that's how you say that.
I don't speak French.
And over the entrance to the live stage show in the land, another layer of red material has been added on the circle.
Is that a hidden Mickey I see there, Universal? We got 2 ears right here in the face. I don't know. It looks like a hidden Mickey to me.
Style tinting that is going to be here. And in the courtyard here, some trees have been recently planted here. And we can see some new signs have been installed that says pumpkin juice, giggle water, and butterbeer in English. Now, this is likely because Bar Moonshine is described as an American-style bar, so the English signage makes sense with
giggle water. That's a great word for alcohol. Absolutely. Because it makes you giggle, makes you laugh, right?
the theme. And to the right of Bar Moonshine, there is an entry into the land's secluded side alley. And outside of the alley, the K. Ramel candy store is starting to get theming in its window displays. And this is the current status of the main entrance to the Battle of the Ministry ride, as more awning framing has been installed. And I would assume this is probably going to be completed by our next update. On the other side of this area, we can see the extended queue for the ride is now covered and looks to be complete. Well, that's all there is to check out in the Ministry of Magic. So let's head over into the How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk to see the progress over here. Over at the Viking training camp, we can see the colorful tents are continuing to be installed, and in the center is some recently added dragon theming. And looking a little closer, we can get a better view of the dragon theming, which are themed poles here. And there is quite a bit more progress being made in Viking training camp area here, as new framing over the center area in a raised platform has now been installed. And in this overview, we can see the overall status of the Viking training.
This is pretty cool, man. I kind of like this. You have the water, you got the bridges, you got the coaster kind of weaving in and out. You know, I don't know. I think there's a lot of depth, layers, and kinetic energy going on with this area in particular that I like. Again, I'm not a big coaster person, but I think Universal has done a really good job at sort of intertwining all these things together. I think it looks really good. I think it looks really, really good.
Training camp area. We can also see 2 trains in the second launch of the Hiccups Winged Gliders roller coaster. And at Fire Drill Boat Ride, more trees and canopies have been.
Again, not a big fan of all this colorful vinyl stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't really. I would have done a different approach than those kind of like vinyl tent things. I mean, I can understand if they're temporary, like while you're doing construction, but as a permanent look to it, not really a good look.
It just seems very modern and stuff for this franchise. I know they're trying to make it look like it's not, but I don't know. I think that's probably the weakest part of it, which is unfortunate because it seems like it's taking up large areas of the land, so
Yeah.
it kind of sticks out.
Installed over here. And there's also additional colorful canopies that have been installed over the extended queue for Fire Drill. And over at Hiccups Wing Gliders, we can see multiple trains spotted as ride testing is still ongoing. And on part of Hiccups Wing Gliders that goes over the water, we can see pumps that will spray water to simulate the feeling of.
See, this is cool, man. I kind of like this. I'm sure this coaster won't be too intense. I'll probably go on this, but like you fly through here, and this is gonna be kind of cool. You're gonna like almost touch the water, and you can look over and see this beautiful like little cliff and like all the little like the little cobblestones and stuff. I don't know. I think visually this is gonna be a fun coaster to go on and kind of check out the sights.
Yeah,
I really like the aesthetics with this whole thing, aside from the vinyl.
Of skimming the water on a dragon. And near the bay, the colorful Viking houses that are part of the village look to be complete with their exterior.
See, those look great. Those look really good.
Theming here. And in this turn on Hiccups Winged Gliders, the sheep in a field are getting more work, but I do love how green this area is. And in the village square, new concrete has been recently poured here, and more concrete is being prepped for pouring for a.
And the rock work done in this land is beautiful. I love. Is that a Viking head right here? That's pretty dope, dude. And
yeah, it looks like a Viking with the beard and the horns.
Yeah, and another one on this side, and just the way they kind of molded this rock work, dude. It looks really, really cool. It's realistic, but it's also got that cartoony kind of edge to it.
Mm-hmm.
Walkway leading from the village square to the entrance of Mead Hall. And over at Dragon Racers Rally, new posts have been installed around the load and unloading.
So we're gonna get a ton of vinyl in this area. You can tell by all these metal posts. This is gonna be Vinyl City right here.
Area here. At the Land's live theater show called Untrainable, there is some progress on the entrance area and some theming that looks like it's being painted to look like the sky. And some new dragon houses have also been added. And at number 3 in the image here, we can see located near the bridge, which connects the theater area to Fire Drill. And on the other side of Fire Drill, the Spitfire grill sign work continues to take shape. Well, that's going to be it for the Isle of Berk. Let's check out the land that also serves as the central hub for the entire park, Celestial Park. And here's the current status of Luna that is still having exterior theming work done on this statue. Now, this is going to be part of the Luna Overlook area of Celestial Park, which will overlook most of Celestial Park. The other statue in the land, Helios, is also still getting work done on him as well. And here we can look at the Super Nintendo store, which will sit outside of Super Nintendo World, and also the Pizza Moon quick service restaurant. And this is a great look at a fountain that sits just outside of the Pizza Moon restaurant. And there.
Oh, that's cool, man. Hold on. It's a Mario. I think it's a Mario. I believe it's a Mario. Yeah. With little coins. That's beautiful. I love that.
Great.
I hope they make the coins rotate, like spin.
Yes, I hope so too. This is really good.
It's just outside of the Pizza Moon restaurant. And there are more walkways in development around these water features and Constellation Carousel. And this is a great view of the show fountain, the Blue Dragon Pan-Asian restaurant at the top, and Meteor Astro Pub at the right. And the colorful pavement in front of the Blue Dragon Pan-Asian restaurant is also coming along nicely. And here's the status of the area right outside of Helios, where the Helios statue is. We can also see here the walkway around Constellation Carousel is currently being developed. Now, this picture was taken after Hurricane Milton, as the water features were filled with muddy water. And here we can see the berm in progress near
And this carousel is going to be spectacular, I think. I mean, the views, this is all going to be filled with water. I'm assuming these are fountains here. This is going to be gorgeous when you're.
And I believe that the type of carousel that's going to be like, it's not going to move like a typical carousel, as far as I know.
From the visual, yeah, they had like some like schematic or like CGI kind of.
Yeah,
Like,
sort of like where there's going to be like layers to it. Like depending on where you're sitting, it's going to make it like there's like different rotations like within the circle or something like that. But it looks really nice.
yeah, it kind of moves throughout the area and stuff. They show that in the video. It looks pretty cool.
Constellation Carousel, and these foam blocks will be covered in green like they are at the right. We can also see that trees have been planted on top of the berm in this area also. Also along the berm, there are lights that have been installed that will help create a really unique ambiance at night.
Nice.
And near Constellation Carousel, we can see the colorful pavement design for the kids' splash pad area called Astronomica, which looks close to being completed. And at the Atlantic restaurant, we can see work on the entrance here is coming along. And here at the entrance to the park, the work on the colorful pavement here has begun work. And the entrance plaza to the park is looking almost finished as exterior rock work is ongoing and the entrance.
Okay, I'm going to sound like a total D-bag nerd, okay? I think this area looks really good, okay? Like architecture-wise, design-wise, it's perfect. It's great. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a fan of this teal green color. It reminds me of DCA 1.0 in a big way. Because DCA 1.0 was covered in this green teal. And I can't unsee it. And it just looks cheap to me, in my opinion. And again, that's just me being a nerdy like D-bag. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that green. I would have
throws off the color scheme to the rest of it.
It does. It's not great looking. I got to be honest.
Like even if you would have used like the type of like Potter blue,
right,
or sky blue, you know, it would have fit like with the circles on the ground. Like that would have fit much better.
Yeah, or even just like dark black iron or something with like gold accents. That would have been cool. But that teal, it's always looked cheap to me. And I'm sure a lot of people in the comments will disagree, but that's just how I've always felt about that color. And that opinion was sort of solidified when it was all over DCA 1.0.
Chronos looks like it's just about complete, and recently the Chronos was spotted spinning at the top for some testing. Also in the entrance plaza, a glass dome looks to be almost completed. And here is a look at the extended queue of Stardust Racers, and the area at the left is part of a park expansion pad. And this is the current status of Stardust Racers, as we can see through the scaffolding as lots of the platforms and scrims.
Okay, so you're going with your girl Abby opening day.
Right.
I'm very curious what you and Abby are going to think. Like once you go this park, because you're going to go on everything, right? You're going to go on this, all of it.
Yeah, that's our intention, to go on everything. Hopefully we can get on as much as we possibly can. We're going to also kind of keep an eye out on park operations, how things are running. Hopefully we won't have a lot of closures or like breakdowns of attractions. But yeah, we're going to do as much as we possibly can, because they only allot us 1 day per package for Epic Universe. Not unless you buy a whole nother package with a whole nother set of days to the studios and IOA just to get 1 extra day at Epic Universe.
I think that whole thing is going to really bite them in the butt, and I could be wrong, but I've seen comments even on my channel that people don't like that. So we'll see how that shakes out. Universal, to be fair, is very good at course correcting and reversing decisions if they're not popular. That might be one of them that they ultimately have to reverse, but we'll see.
Move to prepare for Hurricane Milton. We can also see some theming along the walls has been completed as part of the queue here also. And there are now vines in Stardust Racers entrance tunnel as well as some light posts have been recently installed around the entrance tunnel. Now, when it comes to Helios,
did you have a question or something when you were saying like that we're going to go opening day? Did you have a question or anything?
No. I was just going to say, I was just making the point that like, I'm very curious as to what you guys' viewpoints are after you hit this up on opening day, and what your opinions are about the attractions, like you were saying, the operations and all that good stuff, you know? Also, like I was saying, you don't have any barriers when it comes to attractions, right? Like I don't like roller coasters, like crazy coasters and stuff, but you don't care about that. So you're going to hit up everything. So I'm really, really curious to hear what you think about it, you know?
And I will be able to kind of give my, my personal and truthful opinion of like where I can walk away from this park saying, you know what, I absolutely love this park, but oh gee, bro, there's a lot of rides here that aren't really your cup of tea. I think you'd enjoy the park, but there's a lot of rides that it's like, not really for you, you know?
That's the thing with Universal is a lot of it tends to be like that, you know. A lot of it, even the stuff that isn't like a coaster, or what they even consider family friendly, it still throws you around.
Yeah.
Like Transformers and even Forbidden Journey. It's like, and that's what we talked about earlier. Universal doesn't have, or not that they don't have, but they don't have in abundance those everybody kind of rides. You go to Disneyland and there's like, your grandma can go on a lot of stuff at Disneyland. You know, there's a lot of stuff for your grandma to do and your little one. At Universal, it's a lot harder. You know, everything is like kind of has that thrill, like kind of edge to it. You know, so, and look, that maybe they're going for a different demo. That's, they probably are. But like for someone like me or someone who's maybe like elderly or something, or like really young kids, I just don't know how much there's going to be here for them. Now, again, I always get the comments, but oh, gee, this ride's for kids. And oh, gee, that right. I understand that. But for the most part, it seems like a lot of thrilling stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean kind of rides. So we'll see.
There isn't really much to report that we can see, as the copper tops are still getting worked on, but you now can book stays at this brand new hotel, which opens up May 22nd, along with the opening of Epic Universe, which I will say we were able to grab a room on opening day here. So we'll be looking forward to reviewing this hotel when it does open.
Be excited.
Now, there isn't much to report on Stella Nova or Terra Luna hotels, but Terra Luna looks to be delayed about a month, as we had reservations to stay here on opening day of this hotel, but we got a call from Universal. We had to move that date back to March 25th, which is now the presumed new opening date of Terra Luna, which doesn't impact much because the park is not opening until May anyways, so I don't think it's really a big deal that this is delayed about a month. Now, before we complete our construction update, let's check in real quick on the roads around Epic Universe, as that is going to be a major aspect of this park opening. But from everything that we have been hearing, the roads should be completed by the end of the year here. And here's the overview of current work on the I-4 interchange with Sand Lake Road. Sand Lake changed.
And again, as a Californian, right? I'm very curious how this works out for Universal, right? Having this kind of like mini Epic Universe resort separate from their main resort, because this could be kind of a blueprint for Disneyland Resort when eventually we get a third park in that Toy Story lot.
I was just going to say that.
Right. So I'm very curious how it works for Universal, both logistically and works with people's willingness to kind of even do it, you know? So we'll see. I'm very curious.
And yeah, because that is a very good point, because a lot of people would say, okay, but what kind of relevance does it matter? They're working on regular roadways, but it does mean a lot. It's to get guests to and from both sections of the property, so to speak, because it's, even though that Epic Universe and the surrounding hotels are still part of the Universal Orlando Resort, they're disconnected in a way. And you're correct. When they decide to build the third gate in the Toy Story parking lot, and yes, folks, I am saying when, because that's where the third gate is going to go.
And you are the manifest king. I mean, when George says something, it usually happens. Like when he complains about the red car trolley, the red car trolley gets announced to be leaving the next day. So when he says it's coming, it's coming.
It's coming. So so that you're right. That will give kind of Disney a blueprint template of like how to maneuver not just park operations, but just travel operations, that they'll have, people can like travel down the road to the third gate, going back to the regular resort and what have you. Because Abby and I are going to be staying at the Cabana Bay Hotel, which is connected to the original Universal Orlando Resort, with tied to the studios and IOA and City Walk. But we will be able to get bus transportation complimentary in the resort to and from where Epic Universe is, back to Cabana Bay. So that's going to be very interesting. And I also believe that should work the same way for people staying at what is it, Terra Luna and
Nova Stella.
Stella Nova, but yeah, something like that.
The only Stella that matters is Alicia Stella. Let's be honest.
Yes,
she's the goat. She's the absolute goat. Shout out to Alicia. Go ahead. I do apologize for interrupting.
No, not at all. And but you're absolutely right. She is the goat. But yeah, for the people staying at those two hotels, and I'm assuming even for the Helios, that they would have to have a complimentary bus system to go over to the original resort for people that would want to go to the studios in IOA. But after the fact that they go to Epic Universe, I can't imagine why. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so we'll see how that operation goes as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
To a diverging diamond a few months ago for the and overpass supports have been added in a new median. At 1 is the new routing of the I-4 westbound, and at 2 is the new routing replacing the left turn of Sand Lake westbound to Turkey Lake Road southbound. And here's a look at the ramp changes at the new I-4 interchange with Sand Lake Road. At 1 is a new route of I-4 westbound to Sand Lake, and the diverging diamond shifts here. At 2, we have a new ramp to replace the left turn Sand Lake westbound to Turkey Lake Road southbound. And at 3, we have new routes to Sand Lake Road to I-4 westbound in that diverging diamond. And here is the current status of Universal's new electric bus service area, as all of the new Epic Universe buses here are going to be electric. And the roof is being installed for the parking toll plaza here for day guests driving into the park. And in the parking lot for Epic Universe, the last section is being prepped for a concrete pour as construction begins to wrap up, as this area here was previously being used for staging of construction elements. And according to Alicia Stella, the permits indicate that this part of the parking lot will be used for ride sharing and guest drop off and pickup areas. And here on the left side of this shot, we can see bus stations are being built in the bus loop for Epic Universe. Well, that's going to do it here for the Epic Universe construction update. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like.
Yes, absolutely. Capture the Magic is a friend of this channel. Absolutely. We've had him on him and his lovely wife on our channel, and we've been on their channel, you know, so, and they do great work over there. So I will be linking the channel down below. Make sure you go and check them out. Make sure you support them. You show them love, subscribe to them. They're great people. They do a lot of great work, both with Disney, mostly Disney World and like Universal Orlando. So definitely check that out for sure. But George, any kind of final thoughts or, you know, opinions on what we talked about today before we?
I do love the approach that Capture the Magic had taken for this video. That it wasn't just like a typical kind of. I love like that PowerPoint presentation of like the still photographs, and he kind of walks you through of like the construction progress. I think Universal's doing a great job with the construction progress thus far. I mean, they're building an entire theme park, not just a single attraction or a land. So it's a heavy feat, you know. So I'm glad that everything is working out well, especially as he has been mentioning with all the storms and the hurricanes and the tropical weather, that, you know, that they're still pushing forward. And then of course, complimentaries to the one and the only Bio Reconstruct for the awesome photos that he always delivers, whether it's Disney, Universal, or what have you. You know, he's very dedicated to the craft of his work, and I appreciate both of them for allowing us to be able to do this reaction video.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Make sure you go and check out Capture the Magic, subscribe to their YouTube channel, check them out on social media. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.